The woman who integrates all parts of herself becomes unstoppable. This episode is for the woman who is tired of compartmentalizing, dimming, or even hiding parts of herself to be seen as quote-unquote professional, strong, or even put together. Because the truth is, your softness, your emotions, your calm, and yes, even the chaos, they all belong. And when you stop splitting yourself to fit in, you become unshakable. This week, we explore how true emotional allegiance comes from full integration and not emotional suppression, and how to lead with calm clarity and deep-rooted confidence. Hi, and welcome to You Can and You Will, Self-Improvement for Ambitious Women. The podcast for ambitious women ready to elevate their mindset, claim their power, and create success with clarity and confidence. I'm Kathrine Louis. I'm a business and life coach, expert in elite mindset shifts and women's empowerment, and very proud mama to my 3 babies. With nearly 2 decades of experience, I help women break free from self-doubt, embody their power, and lead with precision and alignment. Each week, I'll bring you the high-level strategies, the mindset shifts, and bold insights to help you set powerful standards, make unapologetic moves, and step fully into the woman you are meant to be. Because here's the truth, you can and you will. Subscribe now and let's elevate together. And just in case you want more from me besides my podcast episode, make sure to check out all of the links down below because this is where the good stuff is at. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram, right? See you over there. So, today's episode, which is called Whole, Calm, Unshakable, Leading with Emotional Allegiance. And if you've been on my podcast before, you will happen to have seen the word allegiance before. And if you're new around here, hi, I'm so happy to welcome you. This is the place where I really want to make sure when you step away from listening and spending your precious time with me, you walk away with aha moments, with real shifts. And I do paint that picture of the version of yourself that you really want to be, that you're striving to become. I get that. However, I also want to break that belief, almost really want to break and destroy it, that's that kind of perfection. How do I want to say that? It's like we are not perfect. Let's just put that out there. I think we all know that we're human beings and we feel like such a pressure to become that quote unquote perfect version of ourselves because we believe being this whole, calm, unshakable version of ourselves, that's perfection. However, and this is why today's episode is so vital, I really want to have you understand how you can be that version of yourself, not just become, because I truly feel like if that is something you're striving towards, it's already a part of you. You just really have to understand how to access that version of yourself, which I'm going to teach you all about today. And then also, I really need you to understand that this is not about being perfect. We're human beings. Let's just not be messy. None of us is ever going to be perfect, right? However, this comes down to reflection and how to embody and how to be our true self. And let's start with why wholeness is truly the foundation of leadership. Because you need to let go of trying to be that perfect version of yourselves. Because what you want to be, that version of yourself, is all about being whole. It's about integrity. The version of you that's been trying to be everything for everyone because you thought that would be perfection. Guess what? She's exhausted. She's burned out. The version of you, however, that embraces all parts of herself. And yes, we're talking about your emotions, your cycles, your softness, your strength. that is the one who becomes unstoppable. Because guess what? It's like a puzzle, and in order for you to be complete, to be that version, you need all of the puzzle pieces. You cannot just, sort them out because they're kind of uncomfortable. You need all of them. That is wholeness. That is leadership. And in this episode, we really want to explore how leading from integration, not fragmentation, is your greatest power. Also, something I really want to add, if you think about great leaders, they own it. They own it because they know integration is the key, fragmentation is not. So, how to emotionally regulate without numbing or even ignoring your truth. See, there is something I really want you to walk away today with. I need you to understand that the key is that you don't need to ignore your emotions to be powerful. Emotional allegiance means feeling your feelings without letting them run the show. Like, we will talk about nervous system grounding, emotional naming, and using awareness to move with grace and not suppression. I just talked about this with a friend of mine, how like when we have important meetings on days where we are basically a mess. And she was asking me like, okay, so what do I do? Like, I'm not feeling this. I know I need to be my best self. And I'm like, well, you know what? This is key. You cannot suppress your emotions. However, you also need to know when it's time to prioritize different things. When you have an important meeting, let's say an hour, okay, maybe 2, I don't care. When you have an important meeting and you know you are a mess, you have to be aware of a few things right now. So if this meeting is important, that likely means when you do not perform with your best A game, that will have some kind of consequences, right? Like when we perform really, really good, it's going to have positive consequences or results. When we do not perform our best, guess what? It's not going to have so good results, specifically consequences. So even on our bad days, we have to be aware, what outcome do we want? What does it take from us to achieve those? So even on our most messiest self, you owe it to yourself to show up as the best version of yourself. Because guess what? Specifically on the messiest days, you deserve you not letting down yourself. Can I get an amen? Even and specifically on your most messiest days, you deserve you not letting down yourself. And I mean that. Because, girl, if you're not showing up for yourself, who again will? And I feel like that's the kind of self-love not a lot of people do talk about. Because this is all about showing up for yourself and, really doing this for you. And specifically when we don't feel like it, and specifically when we have those days, and again, we're human beings, we all have those, we deserve showing up for ourselves times 10. And in order to understand how you can be calm, I feel like this is an important one, because the power of calm, even in the middle of the biggest chaos, you have to understand this. Calm is not the absence of emotions. However, it truly is the mastery of it. Like when you know how to hold yourself in the very hard and difficult moments, you create safety from within. Because we all know that we don't have control over everything happening in our lives, careers, whatever. However, the only control you do have is how you respond or react to it. And that's all about the mastery of your emotions. And I want you to guide you to shift from pressure to presence, from reactivity to regulation, so that you can actually lead yourself no matter what's happening externally. That's the key. And when you have trouble really staying in that calm presence, which is fair at times, it's probably one of the most difficult things we can be put through. We all know that. However, again, when you come from the mindset of, I owe it to myself, and I'm not going to let anybody or any circumstances mess up my life, because that's what you do. If there's something you really have to show up for and it is important, whether to your life, your career, I don't care, and you let whatever external thing mess the thing up for you, you hand that over even more power than it deserves. However, when you can regulate your emotions about that thing and still show up for yourself, you actually take away that power. Do you see how freaking powerful this is? Because you deserve not allowing anything or anybody mess up your life. And the truth is, integrating all parts of yourself does create that unstoppable momentum. Because when you stop performing and start integrating, your energy becomes truly magnetic. There is something about this, true kind of, this is who I am and this is all me, and how people do respond to this. It is truly a magnetic. And sometimes we need that little kind of push. So let this episode be your permission slip to stop hiding parts of you and instead bring your whole self to the table, because your wholeness is what makes you so powerful. And you already know I love me a good shift to remember, specifically in this episode. So this will have to be that you do not need to choose between being powerful and being a human. Because guess what? Being powerful without being a human is it's not gonna happen. That facade, that's gonna crash inevitably. And the woman who integrates her full self leads with emotional allegiance. And yes, you know what? There's something so soothing and so high power and elevating about this term emotional allegiance. Like, it already feels so good, doesn't it? So if you've been wondering how the heck do I get there, let me give you 4 actionable steps. Number 1, and that's a big one and so difficult to do. Pause before you react. Like, go. Take a deep breath, soften your shoulders, and ground. Give yourself space before you even respond. And there's something, by the way, which I really need you to know. If somebody is asking you a question, your brain, and that's just like a mechanism that's super difficult to gain control over. If somebody is asking you a question, your brain will immediately start seeking a way to respond. And that's what we most of the times do. We immediately respond. And I feel like we almost have to unlearn to respond. Okay? So when somebody is asking you a question, take that deep breath and think before you speak, or if you're going to speak at all. Okay? And action step number 2, name what is present without judgment. I just really need you to identify what you are feeling, because this brings you into leadership instead of emotional reactivity. And suppressing your emotions, ignoring your emotions. Girl, I know, I thought you would know better than this by now. That's not going to help you. Like, that's just going to make it even more worse. That's like you're trying to, I don't know, put a whole lot of explosive shit in a box, put a lid on it, and think it's gone. What you think was going to happen? The explosion is going to be even more worse at some day and age, and you won't be able to like control it at all. You have to make sure, and that's also kind of self-care, self-love, like you own it to yourself. Here we go again. Like, how do you expect other people to treat you well when you cannot even do this for yourself? How should other people be in a place to treat you with respect, respect your emotions, when you don't even do that to begin with? In order to be self-aware, in order to reflect, and in order to be able to grow, you have to know yourself. And that also means being fully aware of your emotions. Like, know how you will respond to certain situations. Know what you want to heal, which parts of you, like, because I bet there's something, right? Know your triggers. Again, do you want to heal them? And then also own it. It doesn't mean that you have to show up to a meeting and be like, that's my trigger. And guess what? I'm an emotional mess today. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being aware of who you are and what you bring to the table, and show up for yourself. That's what it's about. Number 3, choose presence over pressure. Like, notice when you are trying to hold it together and ask, what would presence look like here? Because guess what? Just trying to hold it all together is just another shape or form of ignoring it, trying to pretend nothing is happening over here. However, when you come from a place of trying to figure things out, knowing your emotions and sitting in it, you will not only be able to work through it much faster, but also heal at the same time. And again, show up for yourself. By the way, if you have been loving this episode, please make sure to share it with a loved one, with a friend or a coworker who really needs to hear this. Or take seconds to screenshot this episode and tag me on your Instagram stories. I just really, truly love seeing which part spoke to you the most. And action step number 4, lead with integration. I need you to write down 3 words that describe your emotional state today and bring all of them with you into your leadership. And again, that doesn't mean that you really want to share all of them with anybody. I'm just saying, be aware of your own state. Not only will people be able to latch on to how you treat yourself, and specifically in leadership, you lead by example. And also, when you are aware of your own ish, you also tend to treat people way better. So, just to make sure, I need you to understand that your calm really is your power, and your emotions aren't your weak spot, they're your data. And I need you to lead with both. I need you to know both. And that, my love, is the true key to that kind of power, presence, calm leadership that I know you're striving for. That. It's not perfection. However, it is being fully aware of who you are. So if you just need any motivation to take that kind of action today, just really breathe, feel into it, integrate, journal the ish out of this. I just really love that because last week somebody said that too, how he was filling all of the journals, and that's like really such a relief. So also replace pressure with presence and then show up as a whole. Like she is your greatest strength. And if you are ready to lead from your emotional wholeness and cultivate calm, unshakable power, you should really be joining my Sunday Mail, because this is your weekly energetic reset with tools to help you integrate your softness and strength and lead as the woman you already are. Also, you're going to get a whole lot of behind the scenes and the good stuff you get nowhere else. So, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week when we're going to dive even deeper into becoming your best self. Bye.